I felt like he didn't like me as a kid because he was so mean to me.
Your dad, tell about playing him one-on-one in 8th grade and how the rules changed after you beat him.
Yeah, so my dad was like my trainer, coach growing up, kind of put the ball in my crib. He played basketball at CBC, went to SLU, played overseas. My dad's tall, 6'6", 230, 240. And it wasn't until 8th grade that I finally ever beat him in one-on-one.
And what's that feeling when it happens?
It was the best feeling ever because this was the person that introduced me to basketball. Like he has as much to do with anything as why I'm here, from a competitive standpoint and pushing me to be, the best player I could be. Neither one of my parents ever were soft or took it easy on me. Like they were extremely tough on me, and kind of pushed the limit sometimes. But I wouldn't change it because it was what I needed to get to this point.
Your best friend Brandon, interestingly, told me in his words that you actually hated having your dad as coach earlier in life. Why?
Because it kind of put a strain on our relationship. I feel like I missed out on a father-son relationship. Like me and my dad only ever went to games or practice and to get haircuts. Like we didn't go to amusement parks. We didn't go to picnics or fishing or really have father-son talks because it was just all basketball. He was extremely tough on me, cuss me out in front of everybody, embarrass me, humiliate me, throw the ball at me, just because he wanted, in his eyes, he wanted me to be the toughest. He wanted me to be the best, and that was his way of if he made me upset, I would play better. And in a sense, I did, right? I would get so upset, I would get so angry that I would play better.
I was told one time you're in the locker room, he pins you up against the locker, holding you up by the underarms, you're crying and he's calling you
I was scared of him, and he would grab me by my shirt and pin me up against the wall and cuss me out in front of everybody, and I would be bawling, crying. He called me out my name, but then I would come out at halftime and I would outscore the rest of the team and we would win. So in his mind, he needed to push my buttons to get me to a certain point.
As a parent at that time, how would you explain it to him?
It was frustrating. We didn't see eye to eye a lot on some of the ways that he handled Jayson as a coach, but I would just try to tell him, he's a competitor. He wants to win. He wants you to be the best version of you. And I mean, I'm hard on him as well, but when I do it, we're at home, and but when he does it, it's on the middle of the floor in front of the entire gym.
And I felt like he didn't like me as a kid because he was so mean to me. Of course he did, but as a kid, I couldn't separate coach and dad. They was just one. He would always tell me I was soft, I wasn't gonna make it, I wasn't gonna be nothing. And he would take it to the extreme. But part of me working out at 5:30 in the morning was because, I wanted to prove him wrong and things like that. And he was so tough on me, which I appreciate because I wouldn't be here if he wasn't, right? But I do miss that, I didn't have that real father-son relationship. And looking back on it, it's hard to say would I've changed it because my life might be different. So it's no, but it's there are things that I missed out on as a kid.
And I think there was probably some other things going on, just from things that he was wanting from Justin. And if you're not getting that, but you're also getting, him yelling or whatever because of the game, because you're not playing defense or you're not hustling, I just don't think it was a good situation for him.
And so your dad was head coach at CBC, you obviously went to Chaminade. How about the first time you played his team?
Sophomore year, we played at Chaminade. And I remember running out of the locker room, seeing my dad on the sideline, and I remember it was it was one of the weirdest feelings from the standpoint of the person I looked up to, the person that taught me how to play basketball, the man I wanted to kind of be like, is on the opposite sideline trying to stop me.
And you actually heard him yelling to, the people on his team about like your weaknesses,
Yeah, he
right?
was coaching, like he was trying to stop me. Like, I didn't play well, and they beat us. I just couldn't focus, and I couldn't understand or comprehend that. Like, my dad didn't want me to do well tonight, but he was just coaching his team. I didn't like that feeling, but I didn't like losing to him even more. So that was the only time I ever lost to him.
I was gonna say there were 7 subsequent times you guys played.
I hated losing to him more than the thought of him not wanting me to play well. So I made it a point to never lose to him again, and I never ever lost him again.
Why do you think he wasn't around as much growing up, or why you didn't have a room at his house?
Just because he didn't have the best example growing up, right? His dad wasn't around. He didn't necessarily know how to be a father.
How do you think that has impacted you as a parent?
When I was growing up, even when I was a kid, I always saw my friends with their dad, and how their relationship was bigger than basketball and bigger than sports, and how they were closer. And I always said I wanted to have a kid. And I was like, if I ever have a son, I'm gonna make sure that we are best friends, because I wanted what I didn't have, in a sense.